Sunday, the thunder of death is out to destroy the Knight Rider.
Oh, my.
Michael and KITT come face to face with a killer copter.
Be sure to check out our exclusive merch not found anywhere else, like our semi-restoration team apparel, along with our line of Garthwear, trademark pending, coffee mugs, t-shirts, and hoodies in a variety of colors to suit every taste. Your purchase directly supports this channel and helps us to continue bringing you awesome content. View the merch below or click the link in the description for our entire catalog. Production 57807. Merchants of Death. This episode was written by William Schmidt and directed by Alan Meyerson. It originally aired on NBC Sunday night at 8 p.m. on October 16th, 1983. It was filmed from June 2nd through the 10th of 1983. This was the 24th episode to be produced and the 24th episode to air. So let's dig in. We open at AAA Surplus, Strzok's warehouse, but in reality, this building is in Santa Clarita, California, on Davenport Road. And what you may not realize is this warehouse was also used in Hearts of Stone. It's the same building where Angie ambushed Michael and KITT turbo boost through the side. So if we go over to the street view, here's the building now. That's about as good as we can get. But the most of the footage of the warehouse is on this side, and the scenes from Hearts of Stone were filmed on this side. But all the same building. Isn't that cool? This is the inside of the attack helicopter, and they show a close-up of this missile Gatling gun searchlight controller. And what's interesting to note is back in 2018, we were contacted, and someone actually owns this piece. It was used previously in, I believe it was Battlestar Galactica, and then used again here in Knight Rider, and they own this original handle, which is kind of cool. They also own an original steering wheel from KITT. So nice to know this part is still around and still looking pretty good. Here's Deborah Allison, who played both Amelia and Camilla Claremont. And it's interesting to note that the script specifically states that Camilla's name is pronounced Pamela with a C. But Deborah only had a very few acting credits, starting with the 1979 TV series Super Train. And then she did Knight Rider, Remington Steele, Miami Vice, and she did a TV series, a short-lived TV series in 1995 called Starla and the Jewel Riders. After that was canceled, she kind of disappeared, and we don't know where she is today. Hopefully we can find her and chat with her one day. Nothing too exciting to note here, except for the computer desk. For some reason, it's usually up against this wall, but they turned it here just to stage this scene, I think. And also take a look at the monitor frame here. It's something we haven't seen before. This one looks more like I don't know, like a negative or some kind of a drawing versus the actual TV frame with the picture superimposed. Looks kind of strange there. Michael pulls up to Amelia's house where Camilla is waiting. And for those of you who like these then and now filming locations, this is on Acorn Court in Santa Clarita. Here's today. So you can see it looks almost the same. It looks like it has the same wall, same stone wall, same giant tree here. They redid the garage doors, but other than that, it's pretty much as it was in 1983. And yet another filming location. Camilla is waiting for Michael to pick her up. They're at the intersection of Moore Park and Lankershim in Los Angeles. In the background, we have St. Charles Borromeo Church. I don't know. Here's what it looks like today. Pretty much exactly the same. And then Michael and Pamela take off driving, and I always like this little Easter egg here. So in the background, while they're driving, take a look at this. We've got Barris Custom Industries. This was and still is Barris's shop, where he built the convertible and the Super Pursuit car and the Batmobile, and all those were right at this building. And there Michael's driving right past. We actually have a behind the scenes photo taken right at this same day, right before they started filming, with Michael parked right outside of Barris's shop, and he's talking to, or not Michael, David, and he's talking to Barris, which is kind of cool. And for all of you non-French speaking fans of the show, when Pamela and KITT are talking in French back and forth here, KITT is actually saying, "Am I correct in assuming you speak French?" And Pamela replies, "Yes, actually I think of English as my second language." There you go. Also take note, down on Michael's lap is the slate marker right here. You can just barely see it. Michael and KITT are at this market. Michael's coming out here. A couple things to note. This is on the Sierra Highway in Canyon Country. And we can't read the name of the market, but looks like it was probably Canyon Market, which makes sense. This building is no longer there today, but there's still the remnants of it. You can still see the pad where it was located back in the day, but it's unfortunately been torn down. And the other thing, which is kind of neat to note, take a look way back here in the distance. There's a black and gold 82, 83 Trans Am right there. And I think we're going to see it a little closer here in a minute. We get this nice point of view shot of the bikers harassing some women. And this guy right here is actually Jack Gill, dressed up as a biker. How about that? And it's one of the few, actually it might be the only speaking role that he had in the entire series. Usually he's not talking, but I think in just this episode he had a speaking part. And I love how the bikers kick the door and start pulling KITT's trim off here. I don't think that's supposed to happen. Here's the debut of the auto window switches, and we see this design in season 2 before they update it again for season 3. But this is, of course, not in an actual car. This is just a board on a sound stage, but these are real Trans Am window switches. They just blacked out the up-down lettering on them. But yeah, we'll see this a few more times. Yeah, here's a better look at the Trans Am here. So I'm pretty sure that's an 82. Those are PMD seats. So this is an 82 black and gold Trans Am with probably charcoal interior. I don't think this is in any way related to Knight Rider. It's not a Knight Rider car. It's just a coincidence. That would be my guess, that it's parked out here. It's not Hasselhoff's personal Recaro Trans Am. We can tell that by the seat. So I think it's just a coincidence that this car is here. So then we have Michael at Elmo's Garage in Electra, Arizona. Radiator and auto repair here. Again, in reality, we're still on Sierra Highway in Canyon Country, California. And building's still there, still in use. It's a tire shop, but right here is where KITT was parked and where the guy tried to poke his tires out. Yeah, so you can see here's the 2 garage stalls and the little man door here and another door here. And there's the garage doors and the doors, so it matches up perfectly. Well, I have a little surprise for you. We're back in the hero car here, and as you can see, the hero car does have the buttons on the roof, but the insert car, the one they use to tow and use for interior shots, does not yet have the buttons, but this one does. We've got a return after a long time of the white wire right there. It has returned, not for long, but there it is. I always thought this was interesting how Michael was able to pull this angle up on his monitor, as if Elmo's Garage had security cameras that he tapped into. I don't know. We've got a new Trans Am here for the second season, one of the train wreck cars. This is an 83 Trans Am. We can see that it's got T-tops. It's got the factory tinted windshield here. We've got 83 Trans Am seats, two-tone, the light brown, dark brown. And you can see, if we could advance ahead, we could see the back seat is just the same right there. And then advancing ahead, Kind of gives you a better look at this car. This is Buzz Bundy doing the skiing. He did all the skiing for the show, as we've mentioned before. And you can even see the little bar here that he attaches to the car to hold on to so he can maintain his balance. And we're back at Strock's yard, and here you kind of get a better look what we were talking about at the very beginning. So there's a warehouse here, and this is, again, the complex where Hearts of Stone filmed that climax scene with the helicopter and with Angie ambushing Michael. Also note, this is, like I said, this is the hero car, but they made a few updates between the end of Season 1 and the start of Season 2, and we can see here we've got the new Season 2 lower console. But take a look at the dashboard. See how the dash is still this dash-on-dash look, meaning the factory Trans Am dash pad is here, and then this piece right here is the Knight Rider dash that they put on. We see this for a few more episodes, and again, because they're they're aired out of order, then you're going to see this dash come and go. But whenever they give the car a refresh before Goliath, remember there was a 5.5-week break before the filming of Goliath. There were 4 or 5 episodes filmed before Goliath for the second season, and then they took a 5.5-week break and then filmed Goliath. During that break, they actually put out an entirely new dashboard in here. They took this dash out and put the full dash that covers the entire stock dash. So the time is running out for those of you who like the dash-on-dash look. We'll only see it a couple more times in Season 2. And one other way to tell, if you can't see the top of the dash, just look at the voice box. So you can see the voice box still has the old square style from the start of Season 1. When they refresh this dash and put a new shell in here, they'll also update the voice box to be the equalizer style. I remember the first time I watched this episode when it would have been in the late 80s, and I thought, why is Pete Thornton a bad guy? Right? Because most of us who grew up in the 80s know him as Pete Thornton from MacGyver, but here he is in Knight Rider, his one and only turn in Knight Rider. He unfortunately passed away. He would have been a great guy to talk to, I think. KITT's analyzing the tire treads from Amelia's car, which went off the cliff. And in reality, these are the treads for the Goodyear Eagle GT tire, which 1982 Trans Ams and KITT came standard with. Michael is seen getting out of the hero car here, about to analyze, or about to see the car, what's left of the car. But take a look at this. I want to explain something to you here. So we're still in the hero car. You can still see it's got the dash on dash here. Take a look at the roof. We've got the overhead console, but look, this whole thing is covered in gaffer's tape right here. So the scene I showed you earlier where we saw the white wire again with the overhead console buttons, there were certain scenes from this episode that had to be added. I don't know if they were short on time for this episode and they had to go back and add a couple scenes, but that scene that I showed you earlier where you didn't see this tape and you saw the buttons, I think that was added later, like months later. We know that they filmed, Merchants of Death filmed in June, but we know that they did some extra filming of it, I think in September of '83. So there's going to be some inconsistencies just in this episode with regards to things like this. So I have a challenge for you guys. We see at the beginning of the episode, Amelia's driving, I believe, a Datsun, and and then unfortunately it gets blown up. But I'm wondering, and I have no clue, is this a Datsun? Probably not. What kind of car do you think this is, or was? Let's see our auto enthusiasts out there. Let's see if you can identify this car. It's not a Trans Am. We can tell that. It might be a Datsun. I don't know. If you have any idea what kind of car this is, let us know in the comments below. It should be interesting to try and figure it out. Here's the one and only time in the series we see the X-ray button. It looks yellow here, but if we look at the other buttons around, it's actually an orange button, because we know Rocket Fire is orange, and these ones should be a different shade of green. So it's something with the film that they were using at the time, I guess, or the lighting. But this is actually an orange X-ray button. And here's a closer look here where you can see all that tape gaffer's tape across the top. And you can even see that white wire just a little bit right there. But again, this was filmed at one point, and the scene I showed you earlier at Elmo's garage where you can see the white wire and there's no tape was filmed at a different point. Michael's driving at night here, and when I even noticed this when I was a kid. Why is Michael in the passenger seat? And I don't think he's in the passenger seat. They flipped the film for some reason, which they've done on a couple occasions. At one point, I even thought, well, maybe this is the reflection of the window, but no, he's in the driver's seat, but the footage has been reversed. Here's one of the few times in the second season where they're blind driving KITT, but they're not using the new dedicated left-hand blind drive car. They're using the Hero car. And I think that's just because they were filming it at night. It was just a slow reverse down a little hill, and they wanted to kind of show off KITT's lights. So that's probably the only reason they used this car. I always remember this building, the Horseshoe Building as I call it, for obvious reasons. We see this location again as the start of the Baja race in Night of 1,000 Devils. But this is, again, on Sierra Highway in Canyon Country where most of this episode was filmed. The house is still there today, or I don't know if it's a house. The building's still there today, right here. Unfortunately, the beautiful horseshoe is gone. It used to be right here, and this gate wasn't here, but it is still intact. So we're inside the bar, and this guy right here, I believe, is Al Jones, who was part of the Knight Rider stunt crew. We see him a number of times throughout the series. I think in the Ice Bandits, he's driving the car carrier that KITT turbo boosts on, and we see him, I think we see him driving Goliath at one point, and he's all over the series, but a very famous face if you look for him throughout the series. And in the background here, I don't think I have a better picture of him, but this is Joe Ledoux. He returns in Nightlines. And after Michael's beaten up, he returns to Amelia's house. And again, I guess I'm just fascinated with then and now shots. So if you don't like this, just too bad. But so here's Michael pulling into Acorn Court. And we can see this beautiful house here. It's a brick house with this tree, this small tree. Take a look at it now. The tree has grown a bit, but it's the same. Everything else is pretty much the same, which is kind of cool. Wonder if this guy knows that his house was in an episode of Knight Rider. So still in that same shot, Michael's rounding the bend and Amelia's house is over here to the left. You can see some of the Knight Rider crew right here off to the side, just barely in frame. We're at Congressman Ebersole's campaign office. This is at the corner of Lyons Avenue and Atwood Boulevard, I believe. Yes. And what's kind of cool about this is, let's go over here. So this is the campaign office, which we'll look at in a second. But right here, 1, 2, 3 blocks over, this is the gas station from the pilot, where KITT pulls over, leaves the keys in the ignition, and Jackson and Brown steal KITT. So we are very close to a pilot filming location here. But let's take a look at Congressman Ebersole's campaign office right here. So looks, it's a pretty distinctive building. Looks just about the same. There's an awning here that is now gone, but other than that, it's as it was back then, even down to the stabilizing wires. And KITT's backing out of the semi. Once again, our film is reversed, as we can tell by the night shield, but that's all right. This is one of the few episodes of Season 2 that actually feature the semi being used for filming. It's in pretty much every episode as stock footage, but in terms of it being actually used for the filming of an episode, that's pretty rare. This is most likely, by the way, Al Jones driving right there, which is kind of interesting. But we're again on Sierra Highway in Canyon Country. I'd have to look up and see what other episodes the semi is used in for this season. Obviously, it was used in Goliath, and it's used here, and I think it was used in a couple other productions, but not a ton in Season 2. And here is a great shot of the Hardtop Stunt Car. And there's so many inconsistencies right here. So to start, again, we've got the hardtop roof. We've got this fake strip here to pretending to be T-tops. We've got the 1983 style seats. We've got a round steering wheel, and we have a stock flat dashboard. So many things wrong with KITT there. And this episode made extensive use of miniatures, and that also includes the helicopter. This miniature helicopter is still around today, believe it or not. It was owned by someone who was friends with Jack Sessoms and Pete Slagle, who did all the miniature work for Knight Rider. He told us back in 2016 when we talked to him, I worked for a few days on the Knight Rider episode Merchants of Death. I flew the radio-controlled model helicopter that was used in some of the shots, a Jet Ranger. I still own the helicopter, although it isn't in great shape. There were, if I can recall correctly, 2 models used. One was static with an electric motor and mounted to a long stick or handle, which Jack Sessoms held before the camera with the handle out of frame. The other was my Jet Ranger, which was painted flat black and had weaponry mounted to it with hot glue. I remember the hot glue as it was very hot at the Sessoms Ranch in Redlands, and the armament kept falling off. The helicopter's engine did not care for the heat either, causing at least one forced landing. So there you go. That's kind of a neat story, background story about the helicopter. Still around today. So the climax of this episode is one of my favorite, only because KITT's just using features left and right. So we've got microjams, turbo boost, smoke screen. We've got the magnesium flares here. And this is, they had a number of these models. This is the one, you can just barely make it out. This is the one that had the opening T-top, which we see in a number of episodes. We see it in Night of the Drones and Ring of Fire, just to kind of name a few here. And more model work here. This is that same Jet Ranger helicopter. Here's the model kit being thrown off the edge of the cliff. And if you look off to the right here, you can see a hand. Ready? See? There's a hand throwing the car off, which is kind of cool. And here's perhaps the best look at that Jet Ranger model when it's landed here. So that's what he was talking about. All this armament that was held on with hot glue. And it was so hot out there when they were filming at the ranch that these pieces just kept falling off. So finally, they're using the left-hand blind drive car here with Hasselhoff coming out the passenger side and him running away. And then once he catches him and they start fighting, we've got Jack Gill here doing a karate chop to Hasselhoff's face. The episode ends with Michael doing his best Garth Knight impression. I always thought his choice of outfit here was interesting. It's straight out of Garth's closet, in my opinion. And then finally, Kamala gets in the taxi, and the taxi here, as you can see, is Meyerson, 24-hour Meyerson taxi, 555-2700. Radio dispatched. Meyerson is obviously referencing Alan Meyerson, the director of this episode. So that's a nice little Easter egg there. Alrighty, we have wrapped up Merchants of Death. What'd you guys think? Am I doing too much of the then and now filming locations? Let me know if you like that or not. I know a lot of you do. Next up, we're going to be digging into Blind Spot.
And now, while we listen to Joe's selection of Knight Rider music that we received directly from Don Peake himself, we'd like to thank these Patreon supporters. We are featuring these fine supporters at our Knight Rider Prop Restorer level. Thank you very much for your support. And for those of you at the Knight Rider History Hunter level, we're recognizing you right now in the description. Now, if you enjoyed seeing this golden nugget of Knight Rider history being rescued from obscurity, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support would empower us to bring you even more of these historical nuggets. We are the Knight Rider Historians. Till next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.